everybody, this is Danny and Wanda from Deep South Homestead. We are out here in our new greenhouse.
The Queendome.
The Queendome. And guys, I know if it's hard for you to hear, we have a fan running. The humidity this morning is unbelievable. It is 8 o'clock and we are drenched. The humidity is almost where you can't breathe. And we have to have a fan to keep some air going so that we can keep working. Thankfully, we have electricity in the greenhouse here right beside us. We don't have it in this one yet because we're not finished with it, but we're working on it. And one of the things that Wanda's doing right here is cleaning out our new raised bed. That is one of the things that we have learned as avid gardeners, is to take, before we ever do anything, and clean as many weeds out as possible before we turn under the soil. Lots of people will take and turn the soil with the grass and the weeds and all on it and turn it under for green manure.
It just grows.
We don't do that here in the Deep South, because any seed that's on those plants is viable will just come right back. Our goal is to get as many seeds out of the ground as possible, as many roots out of the ground, as many sprouts from things, because some plants just come up from pieces of root. And we're trying to get all that out of here. I've been working on the other side of the greenhouse, getting the raised beds in on it this morning with a little help. Wanda helps me occasionally, hold boards. But she's got this whole side right here looking really nice. We're ready to start bringing in the dirt on this side and amending it. And I can promise you one thing: you won't have to worry in this greenhouse, or neither will me and her. There will be no animal manure brought into this greenhouse. It just ain't gonna happen. If it does, I will chop somebody's hands off, you know.
We're very particular. This dirt was already here. This was ground level. And if we had just dumped more dirt on top of it and all the seeds started growing and coming through, I'd have to weed every day. So I'm taking this out. Danny's going to add more. This is our dirt. We don't have to buy it. That's free dirt.
And we're having the pond built below us here. And that pond has, that holler, let me say.
Look how dark.
Look at, you can't tell the difference between the dirt and her gloves. The dirt is that black.
It's beautiful.
But the holler down here that we're having the pond built in is about 4 foot deep of pure black silt that has washed down in there over the centuries. And what we're doing is, before the guy comes in to actually build the pond, is we're taking the tractor and going down in there and we're scooping out as much of that black dirt and piling it up out here beside the greenhouse as we can. Because I've had the dirt tested before. It has a pH of 5.5. It is literally loaded with minerals and nutrients that plants need. I don't have to do much amending to it, because it's already there from years and centuries of just washing in off these hills, filling this holler in. So here at Deep South Homestead, we may add some store-bought things like sphagnum or peat moss or something, you know, that type of stuff.
Some cleaned dirt.
Some cleaned dirt, perlite, vermiculite, some things like that to help keep our soil loose and fluffy, because we don't have this dirt. Let me say that this dirt is very heavy.
Yeah.
And with that, you have to add some stuff. We add some sand into it,
and we add our own sand.
We have our own sand, that's right. And we add leaf mold. Now, I have places around here where the water washes leaf mold up, sometimes 6 inches deep. And I gather it up and bring it and put it in these raised beds. And a lot of times when I'm gathering that leaf mold, I dig up piles of worms. And I bring the worms on with it. I put the worms in these raised beds. When I cleaned out the grazon in this bed in here, I dug up piles of wigglers and worms in that grazon, and all I did was save the worms and move them down to another spot and haul the dirt off and put it back into the old compost pile up there. And Wanda has planted sunflowers on that to...
We will see in the future how the sunflowers pull the stuff. We'll have it I guess we'll test it with some
We'll probably
beans,
test it this spring. We'll plant some beans and tomatoes on top of that compost pile just to see how they do. And if they take off and do fine, we'll know that the sunflowers has pulled most of the grazon out of that compost. But guys, cleaning up your areas for raised beds and gardening is number one. Getting rid of the weeds, number one. Not to sit back and just wait and do this. A lot of people talk about this method of just turning this stuff under. We don't do that. We just don't do it. We've learned with things like chamber bitters, yellow dock, all of these type things, they just keep coming back year after year after year. Morning glories.
I mean, you see the roots of these things. And if
now, this is a chamber bitter right here.
The roots are crazy.
Look at the root system.
And then this grass, we don't need that.
You get that grass out. That's chamber bitter. The root on it is probably 5 inches long hanging down there, and it looks like a spider web. Not
to mention all the seeds on it.
Right, and underneath the leaves, it's just covered with seeds. So we getting that stuff out of here. We piling it out here. We'll take a rake and rake it up and take it off to an undisclosed location and get rid of it.
It'll go away.
It'll go away from my homestead anyway. But guys, that's one of the things that we try to emphasize about growing our own food is managing your weeds. Now, some weeds are not bad weeds. We mentioned this in one of the previous videos. Things like Florida pusley.
Right here.
Florida pusley is not a bad weed. Here it is right here. It has one, I don't know if I can get it where you can see it, one long taproot. It goes deep into the soil. It pulls up minerals from deep in the soil, and animals love this. We can take this to our chickens and they'll clean it up in a matter of seconds.
The cows eat it.
The cows eat it. If we had pigs, the pigs would eat it.
Goats eat it.
We don't worry too much about Florida pusley because it is a beneficial weed on the homestead.
But we control where it's at.
Yes,
now, I don't want it in this raised bed.
No, we don't want it in our raised bed, but we do control. Now, if it gets in my cornfield, I don't worry about it because once I harvest the corn, I'm going to turn the cows loose in there on it anyway, and they'll mow it all down. And plus, it provides a good ground cover in the summer months to keep the ground from just being exposed. So, I got to get back to work. Got to start moving some dirt. And guys,
but look how pretty.
I'm going to take the camera and I'm going to walk down the bed here. I'm going to show you this bed, and I'm going to show you the one on the other side that we've been working on, and you'll kind of get an idea of the differences in the way things can look when you're doing raised beds in a high tunnel or a / greenhouse. Okay guys, Ms. Wanda here is working on the dirt and getting the weeds out. She's taking the shovel and breaking the dirt up because it makes it so much easier to get the dirt off of the roots.
It'll just shake out.
Look at that.
And you want to save your dirt because this stuff, you can't buy dirt that pretty.
Right. And
we don't want to throw it. If you just scoop this up and took it out, you've wasted a lot of dirt.
You've wasted several inches of topsoil there. And look at that. Look at that topsoil. I want y'all to look at this. This is our dirt here. We've amended. And y'all ask us, how do you make your own dirt? Guys, this dirt right here used to look just like this right here. This comes from us. Look down through yonder. Look at the difference. This comes from us. You see the dirt on the outside out here? Look at the dirt on the outside. That was our spaghetti squash bed right there. What we do is we clear brush, push trees up and stuff like that, and we don't burn all of our stuff. We literally put it into trash piles and we let it rot. And in a couple of years we come back and take our tractor and dig into it, and we pick the roots and the limbs out of it that didn't rot, and we repile them, and this is what you end up with right here, guys.
That's where living in the South, the heat and humidity, stuff rots like in a year or 2 years at the most.
That's a good point.
If you're up north, it might not rot, but down here, you can throw something on this ground and in a week it's half rotted.
That's a good point. The humidity and the heat in the Deep South will rot something in just a couple of months. That's why you see us using all this treated lumber in these raised beds, because if we don't, this lumber, if this was regular lumber, would be rotten in 6 months. It'd all be gone.
We have to.
Not only that, termites would have eat it up already. But you see all the weeds that Wanda has pulled out here? See all the piles? This is what we do. We pile them out like this, and then we go and we scoop them all up and we take them to an undisclosed location and we get rid of them. But look at that, guys. Now I'm going to show you. This is the other side of the greenhouse. Now you realize, look at this. This is 9 inches is the depth of this thing right here. Now I want you to look around here. As I come around, look at this. This is how much of a slope is on the inside of our greenhouse. This side is 19 inches deep over here on this side. So I'm having to put two 2x10s in this raised bed. Now, I had to dig a little dirt out right here to make this happen, and this is our soil. I had to dig down right here to get this board across here because I filled in too much dirt when I was putting this fill-in dirt here. But as you come down through here, you can kind of get an idea and see. See that is 2 2x10s on the outside. And you see down through yonder, this is going to be one of our raised beds here. We are working on the greenhouse here. This is the top of the greenhouse here. This is where our big fan system will go in right here. And guys, a lot of y'all going to ask about this greenhouse. This greenhouse came from Grower Solutions. Now, only the metal in this greenhouse came from Grower Solutions. The wood did not come from Grower Solutions. The wood is something that I add. It's because it's a look I want. As you guys can see, this greenhouse will match exactly the other greenhouse. We've got the bottom wood painted. We don't have up the rest of it painted on this side yet. But this is what it's looking like. We will have raised beds down through the middle of this greenhouse. There'll be 2 raised beds in the middle is our thinking at this point. You see all the tomatoes? We had to take our tomatoes out of this greenhouse here. They were in the way. This is the other side that we have painted here. This greenhouse is 36 feet long. It is 16 feet wide. Somebody's going to ask that question, I know. And like I mentioned to you, right here will be a giant fan system that goes in here that runs this greenhouse. And with this fan system, if I did not have that opening right yonder that's on that end with the louvered system that is thermostatically controlled with this fan, then I turn that fan on, it would literally suck the plastic off this greenhouse. So I have to have that giant louver because we're putting in a huge fan in this one.
All right, Papa.
Did we make it?
We're done.
All right, we're gonna rake up all that stuff, get it out of here and take it to the undisclosed location. And guys, I'm fixing to get on the tractor and start moving some dirt. I hope you've enjoyed the little bit of a talk about the new Queendome greenhouse here, high tunnel that we have.
Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. You got to pull the weeds. Everybody wants an easy way out. Sometimes it's you got to put your hands in the dirt. It's good for the soul, right?
Everybody's always looking for an easy way out, but sometimes
the old ways are better.
Old ways are better, you know. You just got to do what you got to do. I'm fixing to go get the bucket and put it on the tractor. We're going to come back. We're going to get all this stuff picked up and get it out of here, guys. So thank y'all once again for staying with us here at Deep South Homestead on our journey of constructing our new high tunnel greenhouse, Queendome, whatever you want to call it. Thank you guys from Deep South Homestead.